known that they switched the kids, that they were very corrupt and evil, stole social security cards, bootlegged all kind of things, did very evil things and got away with murder, literally. It was known for this family, okay? So in this family, I was molested and raped as a baby a lot. I didn't think anything was wrong with it until I turned 12 or 13 years old. My surrogate used to lay me over her lap and look between my legs and swear up and down that she could see everything if anything happened. I don't know why, but that was still, I was like 12 or 13. And then one day, I was just like, what is happening? Because I was going to school and starting to ask my other friends how they got in trouble. Because I just wanted to know from them, how does it work at your house? I know everybody's culture, households are different. So I was just trying to see, how does it work for you when you get in trouble? Like, are you going to have to be forced to lay in your bed? Are you going to be strapped to your bed? Does somebody beat you? Do they drug you before they beat you? Like, how does it work? Does it work the same way for me? And that's when I started to see something's wrong here. And that was really crazy, because at 13, 14, now that time I was like, there's no getting out. My surrogate was dating all types of authority, from my doctors, the chief of police, my school campus security guards, my principals. Everybody was involved in something in my life. So there was no way out for me, so I tried to kill myself. I ended up in 2 or 3 mental hospitals before my time in foster care. I was in a mental hospital before I went to foster care, because I specifically told them, there's nothing that anybody is going to do to help me, because I know everybody is going to get shut down. The second everybody asked what my last name was and where I came from, that was it. Nobody did anything. CPS was called so much when I was little. Nobody did anything. The thing with Child Protective Services custody is they run off of family problems. Family court runs off of family problems. If there's no family problems, there's no family money court. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, in some cases with CPS, they take kids that don't need to be taken out of their homes, and in other cases with CPS, they leave kids in the homes that they do need to be taken out of, because the more they have to be called, the more they have to go out and make a case, the more they get paid. So they leave the kids there in those situations because it's money. So CPS came out a lot for me. Reports were made. Things were always, hey, it's a possibility this kid is going to die. This kid got raped. There was court cases. There was all kind of cases, but nobody did anything. So, 13, 14, I had enough. Tried to kill myself numerous times. Didn't work. But it just made more issues. Ended up in foster care. Thought everything was going to be fine from there, because I was just like, I just want to live peacefully. I want to go to school. I want to stop being messed with at night. I don't want to have to barricade my door. That's what I want. That's all. And if I could do that, that'd be great. I can get through everything. I thought it was going to go smooth. It did not. Right away, fell into other things and rings within the CPS system. So, '15 was probably the worst year of my life. I tried to tell my social workers, the supervisors, the ombudsman, police, FBI, courts, all that. Went through all that. And there's documents, paperwork, legal evidence that there's a trail all over the world. So I know now that CPS is probably going to start deleting things and, watch some buildings, because if they end up on fire, things don't accidentally burn. So I know that, some people like to burn their evidence, but for that reason, I've made sure that documents of mine is released all over this world. So if something happens to me and my mom, there's something called a kill switch, where if that is released and that switch is turned on because we are dead, then people will just start releasing that all over the world. That's the only option that we have, because the justice system is rigged. There's no going to courts. I'm seeing all this stuff about, people are asking me about suing As far as Diddy, as far as Oprah, as far as Child Protective Services, we tried that. We were just in a court case for 8 months in 2022, I want to say. And we handed over evidence. We talked to a few attorneys. They collected evidence, told me, we'll call you back. This is a case. This is beyond a case. You have multiple cases within a case. And then they dropped it. Those 1-800 numbers, they're attorneys that are collecting information from survivors. They collect the information. They take almost inventory to see what information is still floating around, and then they shut it down. Those are not... Once you do that, once they've taken your information and they shut you down, then you're not allowed to seek out any other help. Yeah, it's in their contracts. So it's very corrupt. And again, we weren't seeking help for the money. We wanted a formal apology from CPS. That's the only thing that we were seeking through that. So be very careful with who you align with. There's nobody that's gonna help you. It's a bunch of shit. All these, everybody's saying like, hey, there's celebrity attorneys. That's exactly what they are, celebrity attorneys. The court is a theater. You ever heard of the court is a theater, basically. Look into it, you'll see what I mean. It's the O.J. Simpson trial. That was a theater. Everybody was running home to watch that on the TV, like a movie, like a TV show. And based on what happens is the outside reaction from the people. That's what keeps it flowing. The court is a theater. Everything, the world is a stage. So these people who are jumping on the cases, that's fine, whatever, to each its own. But I'm not trying to take blood money from a child sex slave trader. That the money that you're suing them for is the blood money that was on the backs of the children that they took it from. So I don't want that money. I don't want that money from my bloodline. My bloodline doesn't matter. If y'all have noticed, I'm not trying to jump up and down about my bloodline. I don't give a shit. Never gave a shit from the start. Why? Because all I gave a damn about is the fact that somebody traded a child for money to hide, or for whatever the hell it was for a very selfish reason and had something to do with an adult. I don't give a shit what the reason was. You're wrong. You're wrong. And that child was me. And I've had to deal with shit, still dealing with it to this day from the choices that they made. So I don't care about my bloodline either. They can have that too. Now, if Child Protective Services custody wanted to cut me a check, I'll take that. I will gladly take that. Why? Because I took care of myself and it was hell to be out on my own for a year while Riverside County still collected money and still has something to do with my trafficking. I won't shut up, but I will take that check. But that's the only person. Those are the only people that I would gladly take something from, because they took my life, so I'll take something. Okay, but other than that, blood money. The first thing people want to jump for is trends, views, numbers, money. It really doesn't matter if the same people that are listening to this chat is not out in the streets. It doesn't matter. If the same numbers that connect to a social media platform don't connect to the same numbers of people demanding where the hell is the Epstein list, why doesn't it matter next to the Diddy list? They hid the Epstein list from y'all, from everybody. They're still hiding the Epstein list. Nobody can get that. But we're releasing little files from Diddy that are extremely old. Who do you think actually matters? What do you think actually matters? The one that they continuously hide from you, or the one that's in your face? They keep hushing the Epstein list because if everybody knew and if everybody demanded what was on that list, nobody would be able to walk down the street. You wouldn't be able to, the media wouldn't be able to do it, celebrities wouldn't be able to do it, and people in the middle wouldn't be able to do it. Your banks are guilty, your schools are guilty, your graveyards are guilty, your hospitals are guilty, and the list goes on. But if we really get into that, there would be no peace. People like to have something to cushion and comfort them so they can sleep at night. People like to have something to have a happy ending to, and it's okay, everything's fine. You know, that person lived happily ever after, and I could go on about my life. Because when you're watching a TV show and you really get linked and hooked and connected to those characters that you're watching, don't you feel like you know them? Yeah. So if somebody took that away, and that TV show and all that stuff that you feel like you know and it's so familiar away from you, what are you going to do? You're going to be depressed. You're going to want to know what happened. You're going to want to know what is going on. What exactly happened? Give me more details. That is the whole point of social media. Y'all get that, right? So the court is a theater. Everything that is going on right now is in the courts. It's not gonna. We're releasing affidavits and releasing stuff, but I don't feel like it's gonna hit or do anything. How many of you guys? And I know we can't do the interactive right now because I have nothing interactive. But let's see. I'm just gonna put like a little meme. Let's interact. How many of y'all remember writing letters to news media? How many of you remember writing letters to blue check marks? How many of you remember in the very, very beginning when we went viral, I asked you guys not to use my name. I said, can you please go demand answers for your neighborhood, your local areas, in your city, in your state. There are missing children right now. Ask your news why you have not gotten an Amber Alert. Ask your local Walmart, where has anybody heard from any of those missing children? Ask your media, your local media, why aren't they talking about the local and missing children? You get all these Amber Alerts, but you hear nobody on the news talking about it. Ask somebody in your area, why aren't they talking about the kids? Does anybody remember the answers? Does anybody remember how they answered? Does anybody remember if they answered? So a lot of people are flooding this way. And I know there's some people who are like, I sincerely didn't see it. I've been shadow banned. I get it. Thank you for being here. But there's some people who are heading this way and they're like, okay, I really didn't see it. But for those of you who did, what's your excuse? Because there's people who are sitting on evidence, information, claiming to have an NDA, and they're sitting on other people's evidence. It's not their own. They're sitting on other victims' evidence. But there's nothing that they've done with it. But now they'll run my way and they'll say, hey, can I have an interview? For what? What is me going on your show going to do for the information that you have already had? And why haven't you done anything with it? And then on top of that, when you look at those people, you'll see that 9 times out of 10, 10 out of 10, their platforms are monetized. Because they're not just telling the truth, they're selling the truth. I'm telling you right now, if you're coming our way, you won't like me. Please don't bother. You'll usually see those type of people because they're going to throw a tantrum when me and my mom throw it in 6 and say, we don't want to deal with you. Only because we sit back and we watch and we've observed. And before, in the very beginning, when we first went viral, we didn't know what to do. We were just like, hand the information to someone. I had an attorney in mind. Almost a celebrity attorney in mind. It is a celebrity attorney when you want to put it like that. But
to call everybody things. We just don't care anymore.
We had some information, and I thought, listen, if something happened to me, insurance holders, please give it to this attorney. Because this attorney is the one that's talking about the children. This attorney is the one wagging his finger all the time saying, hey, where the hell is the kids? And this attorney seemed legit. He seemed strong. He seemed honest. And I thought, okay, if anything happens, y'all give it to him. And then all kind of hell happened with somebody we did an interview with, a national interview. Now, I don't want to give these people the satisfaction. That's why I'm really not trying to go there with names. But we've done all this. And we've gotten bit hard, blood drawn, pulled over, slept in our car, in the middle of the dark, dealing with things that shouldn't have been dealt with, all because we decided to say, yeah, we'll talk to you. And it backfired. We didn't really, honestly, we didn't know better at first because we had just got on the internet. We were just like, yeah, I don't know, just give the information to somebody. didn't realize the sharks that were in the social media water.
That's the thing. So Allie comes from a whole different world than I do. I come from the world that most of y'all do, middle class America. We follow the rules, we obey the law. If the doctor tells us to do something, we do it. I was not prepared to navigate the shark-infested waters that we had to navigate. We think in normal world, which is where I came from, we think that you tell the truth and you go to the police if something's wrong, and if somebody's going to do an interview, then they have integrity, and none of those things have been true. I had to really learn a whole new way of thinking and navigating. Nothing that I knew to draw from, that I was raised to believe, was helpful. It got us in more trouble than it needed to. So no, you know, you guys are, I see a lot of you sit back and make comments. Well, just go tell the police. We'll just go do that. We've done all those things. Those
Try
things
this
bit us
truth
in the
teller.
ass. That's not how the way the world works.
Do this interview, take this podcast, and then what? And I'm glad, because there's some things that we have taken. It bit us, but at the same time, it gave us a safety net of eyes that were on us in the situations that we needed eyes on us in the middle of dark nights. So I appreciate that part. But then at the end of the day,
There's been interviews that we've done where the interviewer was trying to trigger Allie's alters, her MK Ultra. They were trying to trigger her programming. There's just been a whole gamut. Anything you can think of.
there's been interviews where we gave a national platform information, and in the middle of the interview, they played somebody getting raped. Everybody has watched this interview.
That was gaslighting.
Everybody has watched this interview.
That was a threat to other survivors.
Mhm.
So things are not just black and white.
And in the
Not
place
just what
of
you see.
in the place of what they played, there was supposed to be evidence there that we gave them, but because they felt like we didn't give them, we didn't know them. We had 20 minutes. We had never met the person who interviewed me. We had never met him. We had met the assistant, and or not even met the assistant. The assistant messaged us on social media, just like that, just like you know, and we messaged them back for a few days. It's like, okay. And then they said, hey, this is only a 20-minute segment, barely 20 minutes. You have 20 minutes to tell us whatever you want to tell us. And I was like, where do you want to start? Because how do you begin with all this information? They said, do you have evidence? Things that you would want to put in? I said, yes, but I don't know you. So how could I give you something that I don't know you? So I gave them a little bit of something. They didn't like it. So they didn't put the evidence in the interview. They put somebody getting raped and assaulted in the middle of the interview. And then lied and said that they had a production mix-up. And then after, they realized they lied, and it went viral because I came on and told you guys, hey, this is what happened. Then after that, I was a liar.
There have been survivors that have come our way that are very friendly. Survivors is a really tricky area to navigate because, yes, they're survivors, but a lot of them still have MK Ultra programming. A lot of them are still being handled. Some of them might not realize they're being handled. So they can turn on you in a heartbeat. We tend to stay back from survivors because, number one, everybody has their own story and they have their own audience, and everybody needs to be working in their own lane because the situation is so huge. Everybody needs to be working 24/7 in their own lane. Survivors don't need to group up, but I've seen survivors turn on each other. I've seen them call each other liars. I've seen them drag each other. I've seen them grift. We don't want any part of any of that. The message that is being carried, the message that we're trying to bring to you, is about the children and about the children that are still being brutalized the same way Allie was. We can't afford to take a misstep. We have one opportunity to hold our integrity, to not grift from anybody, to not misconstrue anything. We have one opportunity to get this shit straight, for the world to wake up to hear what's going on so somebody can come and save the kids. We don't take that lightly. And we don't mess with anybody that does.
on that note, there are people contacting us, and that are some are saying you should contact this person. You should look into who you're asking us to contact first. Take a step back. Just take a step back and ask yourself, are they monetizing their platforms? And if so, have you seen anything come from those platforms that actually show you and tell you that they're doing something in regards to the kids?
Are they just delivering their version of the news? Are they
Do you remember when the truckers?
action? Are they encouraging people to get up and do something? Or are they just continuing to feed you?
Do y'all remember a few years ago when the truckers swore they were going to go to the White House and shut everything down? Do y'all remember that? The truckers and the farmers, everybody was going to head to the White House.
This last couple
It was something about, was it the bikers were going to shut down?
The bikers were on their way too. They were going to go fix Aurora, Colorado.
Yeah. Do y'all remember that? Did y'all ever see that happen? No, right? That's what I mean. Do you know how many organizations, fundraisers were made for these truckers and these bikers and in both of these situations? Now, if you didn't see them get there, and if you didn't see any action taken from that, did you see where your money went? Do you get what I'm saying?
There's also the ones that are grifting. They tell you they have special intel, and so if you pay extra money, you'll get the other information from their intel that has inside information. We have inside informants, and I don't want this to be construed. Number one, we're not grifting, we're not asking you for anything, but our information, our informants give, is to tell us heads up to move out of the way. So I'm really reluctant to say we have intel or information, because it's not, other people are using it in a very negative way. Ours is to keep us safe. The information and people that are telling you that, oh, we've got intel and my intel told me this and this is coming, most of them, 99% of them are lying to you. Most of their shit doesn't come true, and most of them are grifting and monetizing all their information. Be careful what you do with your money.
So, there's some things that we're not seeing because we have 18 live platforms right now. From a website to Telegrams to Instagrams to Facebooks, and there's multiple who we call heroes, angels, everyday people. These are not white hats, witness protection people. This is not any of that. These are everyday mothers and fathers just like you, that if I reached out to you that's listening to this, you, yes you, you, if I reached out to you and said, hey, can you help me admin this platform, that's what's happening.
You would have to do it in between going to work, in between getting your kids to school. That's all it is. None of them are getting paid. If anything, it costs them a lot more than they get back in return.
They stay up at night and make sure that if we're not in somewhere safe, they with us until we get in somewhere safe. If we're sleeping in the car, they're checking on us in like 4 to 5 hours. Are you guys good? Are y'all still alive? Do we need to contact another insurance holder and tell them that they're not? Do they need to release something? When are y'all going to answer the phone? It's not like that. It's not like that. But if people would dismiss the TV mentality, then you would see how messed up our world really is.
The other thing is, a lot of people are probably going to come running and offering to get help for us or protection. I'm going to tell you right now, we don't want it, and here's why.
I don't necessarily believe you.
Well, besides that.
I don't believe you.
We've done what we've had to do with the information that we get from our inside informant to move out of the way, and we've done pretty well. We get close calls here and there, but at the end of the day, we are under God's covering, and we get information from the inside informants to tell us when to move. If something's not broke, don't fix it. We are managing. But then I stand back and I look at Trump shit, and I look at all this other stuff, and I know how the corruption and the evil work, and no, there's nobody that I trust. The 90s angels that have been in the trenches with us, that check on us at all hours of the morning, I would trust them for protection than I would Secret Service. And that's just to be real, because at some point somebody in there can be bought. So no,
Y'all seen that. If you even read the stories, and don't get me started, this is not political. I'm just trying to show you. Look at the assassination attempt. How the hell did somebody shoot somebody from the roof and Secret Service is all over the place? So who do you think was in on it? This is what we're talking about. There's someone everywhere. So there's people who yell drain the swamp, but you don't get what the swamp means, how thick it is, how sludgy it is, how one moment you think there's a clear path and then there's not. So for those who are like, well, if you just take help from this person, call this person, do this, that's not going to fix it. If anything, it puts us in more harm's way. Because in the middle of us trying to seek peace and find a way to get out, we're now fighting with every demon in the way of somebody else's demons. We already know what demons are on this side. And then we involve somebody else. There's times that, yes, we do need help. And there are times that we're like, I don't know what to do next, and this is getting really crazy.
The other night, after Allie got off the live, we sat where we were for probably an hour and a half trying to figure out which direction we needed to go, where we needed to move to get the most peace and the most safety. Like,
Yeah.
it's not an easy thing to navigate, but what else are you going to do?
If you sit still, you're going to be a sitting duck. If you wait knowing somebody else is on their way towards you, then what?
That's just a matter of time.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And again, this has been going on for decades. And there's somebody who they were like, hey, the question was this one. What can, what has the biggest effect that the public actually physically can do to rescue those being trafficked? Demand answers. It's only when it starts to come from the people who they want to worship them is when they start to listen and when it starts to matter. It's while you're sitting within the audience of your enemies. The people who are asking the questions, the people who are demanding the answers, are the people who are sending the money. Does that make sense? You sign the elite's paychecks. You feed them. You clothe them. You put that Prada, a very expensive bag, red bottom shoes on those people. We do that. That's why everybody is guilty.
We go to their concerts. We buy their concert shirts. We buy the tickets. We buy the albums. We're funding them. When we stop that, when we start holding them accountable, hold their feet to the fire. Everybody from your news anchors, everybody, hold their feet to the fire. Make them give you the answers.
Make them be transparent.
Everybody should be being...
All these organizations and foundations, they're saying that they're saving the children. Where's their proof? Make them be transparent. Because as far as you can see, a lot of these organizations that claim to be saving children, they only do it outside of the United States of America. Now, I know we have people sitting on here from all over the place, and thank you so much. There's a lot of beautiful, amazing hearted 90s in Australia and Europe, all over the place. But when we talk about the United States of America, where we are here, a lot of the organizations and the foundations, they leave their own backyard to say that they're saving children in Africa and in other places. When they make these movies, they're making them based off of Thailand and Dubai. Nobody ever wants to talk about their own backyard. Nobody ever wants to talk about their own situation. Because if you actually start to talk about it, then you actually have to do something about it. So, asking what the public can do, if you're sitting on this chat, if you've listened to this, if you give a damn, start demanding the answers. And don't let go.
Does anybody know how CPS came into being? Does anybody know who they align with, who runs them? How come they have so many missing kids? What the protocol is for a runaway? And that's air quotes runaway.
Do you know how many children go missing from CPS in a week? A day? If the schools had as many missing children as the Child Protective Services government custody had in a day, people would be throwing a fit. How do you lose over 30 to 50 children a week? A day?
2,000 kids a year. I tell you, 99% of them are classified as runaway, because that's the easiest way to dismiss and write them off. They were a runaway. End the conversation. Nobody has to go look for them. They're a runaway. What happened? They're a runaway. That blames the kid. That puts the blame on the kid, absolves the CPS of any wrongdoing. Brilliant. In a trafficking mindset, they got a whole production line brilliantly worked out. No wonder they've been getting away with this shit for so long.
There's no oversight on CPS. There's no accountability for CPS. It's like a factory of children.
They come into your house for any reason with the police, take your kid, put him in a foster home. The kid can turn up, air quotes, runaway, and that's it. Your kid's gone. Your kid's in trafficking. Simple. Nobody's questioning them. Everybody thinks it can't happen to them.
And guess who came out to help take that kid? The police. The police team up with Child Protective Services. They come out, snatch the kid. Sometimes the police have no idea even why they're there. They were just told, go out with the social worker, grab that kid, and then get back to work.
Our biggest mistake is we think that it must be a bad parent. If you see CPS at your neighbor's door, what are you automatically going to think? They must be hurting their kid. They must be a bad parent. Same thing you think when you see the police pull over somebody with guns drawn on the side of the freeway. They must have committed a crime. Not necessarily. Our thinking has been controlled in so many ways, we just automatically go to those places, and then we dismiss it. Because we don't have to get involved because that was a bad person. We don't have to get involved because clearly they must be a bad parent because CPS and the police are there. So it's not our problem anymore. No, we need to look further into situations.
Celebrities can have these foundations for children. Oprah, Ashton Kutcher. They can go pick up children like they're picking up a new grocery bag or a new Prada bag. Nobody cares. Nobody does anything. In the time that I was in CPS's custody, I went to so many elite parties, elite jobs, that even if I told someone, it did not matter at all. There is a trauma response. There's some very different trauma responses. You know that phrase, everybody grieves different. Everybody responds to trauma different. So for me personally, at one point, I was at the same time hiding from everything. I was really overly sexual. Like, promiscuous. Bad. That was my trauma response. So at one point nothing mattered to me. If something was wrong, it did not matter to me. I used to tell my mom all the time, if I was not kicking or screaming, you can't say it was rape. Because in my head, it was just don't fight them, and it won't make things worse. So, to just talk about the Diddy parties, I've spit a lot of that out. There's some wicked, very wicked things that go on in those parties. And this is not just his party, it's just the party they're allowing you guys to know about. It's the one that they want you to see. It's the one the media wants you to focus on. But if you focused on everything and all the celebrities and everybody in between, we'd have a worldwide problem bigger than the COVID 2019 pandemic. Way bigger. There's satanic ritual abuse. There's animals.
Well,
There's so much shit that goes on.
that's kind of been my rule of thumb. I sit back and I watch. I watch a lot of podcasters. I watch the truthers. I watch the survivors because a lot of them are still being handled. I watch how much information they're giving out. A lot of them will give you just enough information to shut down your curiosity, to shut down your mindset that, okay, now I know what this is. I don't need to look any further. There's nothing else. That's it. They're gatekeeping. Unless they're talking to you about satanic ritual abuse and MK Ultra, if they just stopping at the trafficking gate, there might be a problem there. Because trafficking and SRA and MK Ultra are all together in one.
You think that you can rub somebody's face and throw up, play in feces, pee on people, or things like eat feces, eat other animals, or eat cannibalism, bestiality? Do you honest? All those things cross a line, a humane line. If you see somebody poop on themselves, you're gonna be like, ew. Are you gonna want to play in it? No, because it crosses a humane line. Anything that crosses that line, you're now touching satanic ritual abuse. There has to be a point in your brain that shuts off and goes to say some satanic, unreal shit in order for you to be able to do those things. For you to make someone do those things.
It's not just you're a little freaky and that's that.
No, that ain't
goes
kinky.
against your humanity. That goes against child porn, beating it, watching a child be beat, raping a child. That goes against your humanity, or it should. And if it doesn't, then there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you right now, though, that what they're doing to the children, they're also doing to the animals. Check your zoos.
Ask the shelters. In the month of October, they're very careful because a lot of the animals end up either satanically abused or raped. Ask your local shelters. Ask them. In the month of October, they do things different with their adoptions. Always. This is something that's been in everybody's faces. The amount of satanic things in everybody's faces, from the concerts to the books to the toys in the store for the kids. It's just building. I'm glad we're here. I'm glad we're finally talking about I'm shocked we're talking about P. Diddy, to tell you the God honest truth, because I told you before, nobody tells on him. There's some big fish that nobody touches, like Denzel Washington, Snoop Dogg, P. Diddy, Oprah, Steven Tyler, Simon Cowell. There's some very big fishes that nobody really touches. Tyler Perry. I'm shocked we're here. I'm happy we're here, but I don't know what the end goal is going to. I don't know. I hope that people can continue to fight and be loud, because everybody is so mixed up in the scripts that they were given. These people were given scripts for you to fall in love with them. Scripts for you to believe that they're good people. You don't know them. You've never met them.
Most of them fall under a CIA operation. They want you. They put them into position to influence you. What you like, what you don't like, who you're going to vote for, who you're not going to vote for. They use celebrities and sports stars and musicians and the whole gamut to control the masses.
It just shouldn't take an influencer to be influenced to do something about the kids. It just shouldn't. I don't give a damn what influencer it was. Don't take my word about it. Do something. Because you know it's right. You don't need an influencer to influence you, to tell you that, hey, what's happening is wrong. You know deep down inside it's wrong because you wouldn't want it to happen to you and you wouldn't want it to happen to yours. So, that's it and that's all. The people who are, I didn't go to this party, I was invited, but I didn't stay after 1 a.m. You didn't stay because why? Because you're coming out about it now and saying, well, this celebrity did and they were guilty and I know that this person did it. You kept all that information for what? For who? For whose safety? For yours or for the person that you knew was being abused? Whose safety did benefited from that? That's pathetic. And especially it's pathetic from the ones that are adults. And at the time you were an adult. Because in the situations that I'm talking about, I was a kid. In all the situations I'm talking about, I was a kid. All of this happened under the age of 18 for me. So all these adults that are, well, yeah, they crazy, and I knew they were crazy from the get-go. Okay, so what took you so long to say something? Why? Because it's trending? Why? Because too many of your followers and people that you need to love you are asking you about it? That's why we want to talk about it now? Why weren't we talking about it before? This is the problem. We have never strayed from what we have been talking about. We have always pointed y'all right back to the children. When people got distracted over a trending false flag, we pointed y'all right back to the children. When people wanted to be distracted by a fight on social media because those bring views, if somebody is bitching and going back and forth and mudslinging in comments, that brings more views, so we pointed y'all right back to the children. When people wanted to drag us and you're a liar and you're this and you're that and I'm just going to make up all this shit about you, we dragged you guys right back to the children. When we were going through hell ourselves, right back to the kids. Look at those people who are trying to take you somewhere else so they can get more money and more gain for themselves. That'll tell you who really gives a shit. When you know the truth, when you understand the war that you're in, you won't be able to sleep. You won't stop talking about it. You won't stop banging down doors about it. You won't stop telling people who you don't give a damn, that call you crazy, who tell you you're mentally unstable, get off the internet, you a conspiracy theorist, more like a realist. You won't stop because you understand the depth of what's going on and how it is going on right now as we speak to another child. That's the whole point. If you understand how deep this war goes, you don't have the time to bitch and babble about shit that doesn't matter. You just don't. It's exhausting. It's soul-sucking. I am honestly so tired from my own nightmares right now. My mom has shook me so much in the last few days because just trying to spit this information out, I'm back. And every time I close my eyes, I can't leave. And then I open my eyes and we're here. My brain won't let me go from what's going on. My PTSD won't stop PTSDing, and I'm getting irritated because my PTSD won't stop PTSDing, and there's nothing I can do about it. The predators get a slap on the wrist while they still got people praising them, but your victims are rocking in a corner. One minute you think there's validation and you think that somebody is going to start just maybe talking about the friends that you've lost, the victims that have are already in heaven and souls can't rest because of what's happened. You think that we're right there, and then somebody swerves to something that doesn't matter and doesn't even hold a candle to what people have suffered from. I thank God I have all 4 of my limbs. I thank God I'm still here, because there's victims that get their limbs taken off so they don't fight back in parties like the ones that you're seeing that are coming to light. There's victims that die in those parties, and I was always that type that if I was going on a job, once you walk in, you have to have the mindset that you're not coming out. That's what's going to get you through that job as a victim. If you go in there already ready to fight people, you're not coming out, because the more you fight them, the more you're now their target to make an example out to everybody else so they don't fight back. There's bodies that have been drug out of these parties. And you know what? You see how Diddy covered up was able to get the hotel videos for when he's caught on camera, how he's able to silence the judges that are in New York City with the keys to New York City, how he's able to connect with the New York City police. There's a reason for all of that, because they cater to them. Certain strip clubs that I've been in since I was 12, 13 years old in Moreno Valley, California, and Los Angeles, California, they cater to the firefighters, the police officers, any person in uniform. They cater to them, because if they get in trouble and if they can talk to the same person in uniform, then they could cover it up easily. So anything goes for people like that. Y'all don't live in the world you think you do. And I thank you for coming here to listen for a second. I'm going to take like a few questions and then I'm going to go, because I, for real, no lie, legit, I need to throw up. Like, I gotta throw up. My skin has been crawling. Like, really, really crazy. I have been super emotional. I'm ready to just knock down something with my bare hands. You know those people who want to talk about reparations? I can tell you who needs reparations. And it won't be the ones yelling Black Lives Matter, because the ones that are yelling that don't understand that there's all colors in trafficking. Black, white, Mexican, Indian, the list goes on in trafficking. Do you know what a false flag is? A false flag doesn't mean that somebody didn't get hurt. Doesn't mean that something did not happen. It means that it was orchestrated. It means that it was set up by a government official on purpose to make people don't look this way, look that way. Okay, so there's a lot of false flags that happen and that are continuously going to happen leading up to any more information coming out about anybody that's going to make people go, don't look this way, look that way. What are you going to do? Are you proud of your silence? Are you just going to be like, you know what, somebody else will handle it? I sent money to an organization. I messaged somebody. I tagged this person with the blue check mark. I know they talk about it a lot, so hopefully they'll talk about it. Are you going to continue banging down the door? No matter if you're going to get deleted off of Instagram, banned off of TikTok, pushed off of X, no matter what, if you're at a table of family members that swear up and down you're crazy and you're the black sheep, are you going to stop talking about it? Because for a moment I did. And that's where I was wrong. And I admit to that. I admit to being wrong. I tried to heal and live my life, become a dance choreographer, and act like nothing existed. And that's where a lot of people are like, you're a traitor. I hate you. You left me. Okay, I'll take that. I didn't, though. I tried to do something so I could be sitting here and doing something about it. If I didn't make a move in foster care at 15, 16 years old when I was auctioned to Russia and run in AWOL, I wouldn't be sitting here. So, honestly, I feel really sick. But I'm going to take 2 questions. And then, I don't know. there's that document, the affidavit that I have on Diddy is 4 to 5 pages long. I don't think I'm going to be posting all kind of excerpts, and I think those who are like, stop. I never thought that I would see that day either. There's people who are messaging me like, I don't need to see anymore. I get it. I know you're telling the truth, and I believe you. That is more than money could ever give somebody. The most. Thank you. I've only ever wanted somebody to take accountability. That's it. I've always been told nobody's ever going to believe you. You could tell people, you could scream, nobody's going to hear you. And it feels like that. So to have people just messaging us and saying, I believe you, I see you, I hear you, I don't need to see anymore, thank you. That's the best thing you could ever give to a victim, a survivor, just to say, I hear you. And I'm not just listening with the intent to reply. I'm listening with my heart, and I hear you. Thank you. I'm a very simple person, and that means the world to me. If you look at the date on the affidavit, it was March 27th, 2024, where I knew that we were going to be here with the Diddy arrest. There's a few things that I've tried to tell y'all ahead of time. And I'm not psychic. I don't like that shit either. I don't believe in psychics, because if you know something, say something. If you knew, if you can see something, say something. If you're a psychic and I know this is gonna say some shit. Where are the kids? Tell us everything if you know about that. I am not a psychic. I am not saying that I am, but MK Ultra does suck. And there's a lot that goes into that. I'm praying that we get to the day where I can release this Oprah affidavit very soon. I feel like I want to post it earlier, but I don't know. I'm going back and forth. But there was a few people that we had some information on, and we knew of March 27th, around March. And I pray we just move a little faster. I don't know. I was going to get on here and talk about these parties. I swear every time I've tried to get on here and start talking, I feel like I'm going to just break and never stop. So thank y'all for having the patience with me, because I'm really, really trying. I'm trying. It's a lot. And by the way, this party, there was another girl who was about 13 or 14. At the time, I was 15, 16, 15. And there was a girl that I couldn't stand. And I mean, we hated each other, like with a passion. And I don't know if she's still alive. I don't know if she's ever going to see this. I don't know if I'll ever talk to her again, but I just wanted to tell her I'm sorry. We were on this party together. We were supposed to walk in together. We were told, it was known that we couldn't stand each other, but we had to act okay with each other, because just in case we had to have sex together. She was younger than me, and she was just as angry as I was, and both of us were just ready to hurt something or someone that night just as much as everybody was ready to hurt us. So if you ever hear this, I'm sorry. So, yeah. I made a promise, and it wasn't even just like it was a few girls. We were sitting on an order, and we were joking. We knew nobody was getting out that night, but we kept saying if somebody got out, they better bring an army back. And we kept saying we promise. I'm a big person on trying my best to not make a promise that I can't keep. And that's one of the promises that I beat myself up for every day. I'm trying my best to at least point people back to the kids. I know I can't save anybody. I'm not trying to. But I'm really trying to point everybody back to them. Honestly, I think that's all I can do myself. So, cool. Anybody got any questions? I'm only going to take two, and I'm going to go. And then I'll try to be back on here later. I feel really sick. Like, really sick.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. The way the questioning works is that you have a minute to ask your question. Once your mic is unmuted, I think you have to hit the microphone button to speak. Okay, T. Vivensko, your mic is unmuted. Okay, we'll move on to the next person. Nikki Wallace, your mic is unmuted.
No, that's us. Are you hearing anything on that side, Lassie Girl?
I am not.
Okay. You know what? We'll take questions later. We'll be back on live soon. Thank y'all for listening.